I just got handed this. It was kind of cool. And a knife. I'm Jeff Woods, and I'm glad you're here because it's time to open up the new Lennon box set. The reason for it, well, they're all remastered. That's a good enough reason to have a remastered collection of John Lennon discs, 8 in all, right back to 1970, right through to Milk and Honey, the album he was recording essentially when he was killed in New York. The reason for it, though, October 9th, John would have been 70 years old, and what goes along with that is that December 8th, 30 years ago, John was killed, which is totally sad, but thank God we have the music to remember him with. So let's open this box up and see what's inside. They trusted me with a knife. It's just like Christmas, a little early. The hell do you get into this thing? This is always the toughest part, opening the thing up. I don't want to rip it, you know, because it's special. I think you have to peel this off. What do you think? Yeah. So that comes off. Track listing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Feels right. Okay, first thing you see is online. Obviously, John has a pretty good online presence thanks to Yoko. From Yoko, Julian and Sean, John's 2 sons, obviously. A booklet with a story, apparently. I won't read it all now. You can read it if you buy it. Everything in here has been written this past August 9th, 2010. A letter from Yoko, a letter from Julian, and a letter from Sean. Cool. Yes, this is kind of cool, because when John met Yoko at the gallery for the first time in the 1960s, she was doing an exhibition of her art, and John was invited to walk up stairs, and at the top of the stairs, hanging from the ceiling, was a magnifying glass, and he picked it up, and there was a little note, and it just said one word. Yes, and John said that was the greatest thing. It said so much about Yoko and so much about her personality that he started to fall in love with her from the word yes. So that's a nice surprise. I had no idea. Inside the Yes book, photos, and more stories, more history. There's some live shots, and there's some of John's art in there. That'll be a nice book to go through. And then, here they are. It's a little precarious because they're slippery. All 8 of the remastered albums, and then some bonus material too. There it is, what a great shot. One of the saddest things about Milk and Honey is the fact that 3 days before John was killed in December of 1980, I think it was the 5th, he was in the studio with Jack Douglas, the producer, and Rolling Stone magazine dropped by a guy named Jonathan Cott to interview John. Yoko slept on the couch, and they talked until 4 in the morning. And when the interviewer was walking away, John walked into the elevator, actually, and the interviewer was so pleased that John and Yoko were looking so good and so happy, and obviously John was back after 5 years of not making music, making new records. Double Fantasy, and the one he was making when he was gunned down in New York City, Milk and Honey. Wow. And Imagine, and Mind Games. I love this shot. I've got this hanging on my wall at home. The rock and roll shot, obviously. And I think for a lot of we John Lennon fans, perhaps the best of all, 1970, Plastic Ono Band. What a record. This shot of John as a kid, that was featured, I saw it last night, in an advanced screening of the new movie Nowhere Boy. That was sitting on the mantle of Aunt Mimi's house. It was a great film, by the way, Nowhere Boy. It's amazing. It traces, unlike any other film I've ever seen on John Lennon, it traces from when he was about 14, 15 through to when the Beatles went to Hamburg. So it's got him meeting Paul and meeting George. It was pre-Ringo. Great film. See it if you can. Oh, there's one more thing, I think. What, at the bottom here, there's another ribbon. Oh, yeah, cool. Let's see what this is. Another booklet of some kind. Actually, it's like a little photo album. It's John and Yoko under a tree. It's one of John's classic prints, right? He did a million sketches. This is just one of them. Signed John Lennon, a family tree. Sweet. Something for the mantle. I think this is going to be really great. We know the music. Or if you don't know John Lennon's music, This will be the best way to hear it. They've all been remastered, and there's lots of bonus footage. So there it is. I'm so happy to have it. Thanks to EMI. And I'm doing a special on John, so check legendsofclassicrock.ca. I'm going to do an hour on his New York years. So I can't wait to do it for you, and I hope you'll tune in. If you miss it, or if you miss part of it, or if you love it and want to hear it again, we have Legends on Demand now. Same place, legendsofclassicrock.ca. Thanks, have a good day.